Arsenal are high and flying and with 2 games left before the World Cup remain top of the Premier League. But up against Guardiola's City, the Gunners have a battle on their hands. So today we'll find out what owner Josh Kroenke has planned for the January transfer window. We'll also get the latest Arsenal team news and find out how close is William Saliba on signing a new contract. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. We've got a game tomorrow, but today we've got all of the latest news. So if you enjoy the content, make sure to go down there to smash a like and also subscribe if you are new. We are on the road to 130k and only you guys can make it happen. But starting off with the Arsenal transfer news. This next upcoming transfer window could be one of the biggest in Arsenal's history. In fact, at this stage of the season, after 13 games, Arsenal have even more points than the Invincibles had. And essentially Mikel Arteta has guided Arsenal into a position of power. So in terms of the Arsenal owners, according to the Standard, the Arsenal players were greeted by the director Josh Kroenke while they celebrated in the dressing room after their 1-0 win over Chelsea on Sunday, and Kroenke is in London on one of his regular visits to the club. What's very important is that in that game against Chelsea, Arsenal made a statement. To go to a Big Six ground to dominate the entire game, for many people that was the moment where Arsenal announced themselves as a serious team this season. The fact that Josh, the Arsenal owner, was there to watch it live, it looks like he's had a realization. And according to ESPN Brazil's João Castelo Branco, he says, "I have information that the club want to take advantage of the moment and will inject money to reinforce the squad well in January to be able to compete until the end." In terms of the Arsenal owners, they now see an opportunity. Even if no one expected a title charge, the fact that we are now in November and still top of the Premier League, if Arsenal are able to invest properly in January, then this could become a very good opportunity for Arsenal to win the Premier League title. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are still looking at midfielders for January, also the winger. Arsenal will be busy in the next weeks, the next months, and they want to keep going in this fantastic moment. That's exactly what Arsenal fans want to hear, that Arsenal are going to be active and take advantage of their position. And the main man being linked right now is Mikhailo Mudryk. And on him, Fabrizio says, Arsenal are still following Mudryk. They consider him a top talent, and the race to sign him is open with many clubs involved. He also says that they have had very positive contacts on Mudryk's side, but then they decided not to proceed with Shakhtar because they wanted more than 40 to 45 million euros. Now they want more than 60 to 65, but Arsenal are still following the player. The price tag is getting crazier, but as Fabrizio says, he remains an Arsenal transfer target. According to 90 Min Football, Alexander Zinchenko reportedly gave a glowing reference to the Arsenal bosses of international teammate Mikhailo Mudryk. Personal terms will definitely not be an issue. The fact that Fabrizio confirms that Arsenal have had positive contacts on a player's side, and the fact the player himself has already confirmed, if Arsenal came calling, I wouldn't say no. And with the funds being available and Arteta seeing Mudryk's scary potential, the question remains, should Arsenal pay that £50 million price tag to sign him in January? And talking about the wide forwards, according to Simon Collins, Arsenal are weighing up whether to loan out winger Marquinhos in January. The club looked at loaning the player out when he joined the club in the summer, but decided that he would stay and get some action in the Europa League. Now in his first games in the Europa League, Marquinhos burst onto the scene and so many Arsenal fans were very impressed. But in his last few games in that competition, he was sitting on the Arsenal bench and not even starting games. But Arsenal fans have seen the talent and seen the potential. The best way for young players to develop is to get game time. So I think a loan elsewhere where he is starting week in week out might be the best decision for Marquinhos and his future. But as Fabrizio also says, Arsenal want to sign a new midfielder. And according to reports in Brazil, Arsenal are reportedly close on agreeing a deal to sign Palmeiras midfielder Danilo. The Gunners are confident they can make a deal happen in January. Now these guys are going very far, but at the same time there's no denying Arsenal really like this player. They tried to sign him in the last few days of the summer transfer window, but at the time Palmeiras wanted to keep him because of the Copa Libertadores. But with that being over and likewise the season in Brazil, a lot of fairly reliable reports have confirmed that in January Palmeiras are open to doing a deal. If Mikel Arteta truly believes that this is the player for the midfield, then with the proven track record of all the players that Arsenal have signed, personally speaking, I truly trust in Mikel Arteta's talent ID. But talking about midfielders, Arsenal legend Ray Parlour says January is going to be very important for a lot of clubs, and there might be a little bit of money there for Arteta to say, we need another midfielder, we need a Tielemans. He's out of contract at the end of the season, and for the reported £25 million price tag, so many Arsenal fans thought it was a no-brainer to sign him. But as Fabrizio Romano confirmed towards the end of that transfer window, Leicester actually wanted closer to £40 million. But in terms of this season, Tielemans remains a top quality player, scoring 3 goals and getting 1 assist. He has scored some absolute screamers. And even in terms of his overall stats radar, if you compare him to Danilo, Tielemans remains the far better player going forwards, and he's completing around 49 passes per game, around 10 more than Granit Xhaka. But at the same time, Xhaka has got 3 goals and 3 assists and has been one of Arsenal's standout players this season. But as Ben Jacobs says, if Arsenal move for Tielemans, then he will join Arsenal. But it's all about what Arsenal wants, what's right for their chemistry and dynamic mid-season. If we're talking about January, their interest was never gone, and it's one to watch because he's in good form. Whether he would be a better fit than Xhaka in this current system is for you guys to decide down below in the comments. But in my personal opinion, if Tielemans is available, then he is still a player that I would love to see at the Emirates Stadium. Moving on to Arsenal versus Brighton. The Arsenal's first game in the Carabao Cup against Brighton at the Emirates Stadium, and most importantly, it's our last home game before the World Cup. And in terms of the opponents, Brighton, under brand new manager Roberto De Zerbi, they've won their last 2 games, beating Chelsea 4-1 and Wolves 3-2, whereas in terms of Arsenal, it's 3 wins in a row: Forest, Zurich and Chelsea, with 7 goals scored and 0 goals conceded. And in terms of Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, we are 14 games undefeated. But at the same time, Brighton under De Zerbi are a fantastic team. They've smashed Chelsea, and they're a team that love to play progressive football. And with the likes of Welbeck and Lallana, Brighton might not have any world-class standout players, but what they do have is a fantastic tactical system. But in terms of the Arsenal and our team news, Emil Smith-Rowe and Matt Turner remain out. And in terms of Takehiro Tomiyasu, and according to reports, Arsenal are continuing to assess Tomiyasu, but the initial diagnosis is a promising one. And the rest of the squad should be all fine, but with this being a game in the Carabao Cup at the Emirates Stadium, with Brighton still being a decent team, how exactly is Mikel Arteta going to line up? Well, I've gone for the 4-3-3, with Ramsdale in goal, and a back 4 of Cedric, Holding, Gabriel and Tierney, a midfield 3 of Lokonga, El Neni and Fabio Vieira, and a front 3 of Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah and Marquinhos. Now that's just a personal prediction, but Mikel Arteta has actually said himself that he might go for a very strong lineup. And with this being our last game at the Emirates, I would not be surprised if the likes of Xhaka and Saka are starting. But at the same time, our focus is on the Premier League, and we might be in amazing form, but Wolves away is never easy. But at the same time, Mikel Arteta wants trophies. So my friends, let's have a discussion down below in the comments. If you were the Arsenal manager, how would you line up in this game? And while you're down there, also give me your matchday predictions. But moving on to the other Arsenal news. And starting off with the Arsenal Brazilian Gabriels, Magalhaes, Martinelli and Jesus, as Brazil have announced their official squad for the World Cup, with both Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli being called up. And look at the reaction of Neymar, a nod of approval and a smile for Jesus, and a bit of a shock surprise for Martinelli. Now in terms of Jesus, I expected it, but in terms of Gabriel Martinelli, it is a massive achievement because he is actually the youngest player in the Brazil squad. And according to reporter Tim Vickery, Gabriel Jesus was always in, while Martinelli has given the coach sleepless nights. I was with the coach 2 or 3 weeks ago after Arsenal beat Liverpool, and Martinelli, in the coach's words, was the best player on the field. To go to the World Cup at 21 years of age, even if he doesn't start over Neymar, I can understand, but it's going to be an amazing experience in terms of him as a player and also in terms of confidence. But unfortunately, one Gabriel misses out, as Gabriel Magalhaes has been left out, and Mikel Arteta says it's a disappointment. But when you look at the squad they have and the experience they have in that position, you have to understand that, and it's another challenge for him. They do have Thiago Silva and Marquinhos, so I can kind of understand it, but at the same time, I rate Gabriel, and even though some Arsenal fans think he's a bit mistake prone, I think alongside William Saliba, he has formed a pretty decent partnership. And at the same time, I am kind of worried now because Gabriel is a very emotional player, and him being left out of the squad for Brazil, I'm truly hoping it does not have a massive emotional impact and on the pitch does not affect his performances. But talking of Arsenal centre-backs, according to Scorecard, William Saliba has won possession more times in the defensive third than any other player in the Premier League this season, and has also made more ball recoveries in total than any other defender. This is what you call French excellence, and for me definitely going to the World Cup. But in terms of his brand new Arsenal Arsenal contract. Fabrizio Romano says, I can tell you that for William Saliba, there is a proposal on the table. Saliba is really considering it. Conversations are ongoing. Arsenal are really optimistic, but the decision is to go very strong on his new contract in the next weeks and months. So after David Ornstein confirmed that Arsenal have made a confirmed contract offer, Saliba is giving it true consideration. Even after Saliba signs his contract, I still think he'll be one of those players that will be linked to the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona because of his amazing talent. But as long as Arsenal are in the Champions League and are competing, I don't see Saliba's future elsewhere. Moving on to the influence of Ben White this season. With the third most touches, third most passes, first in terms of passes into the final third, third in terms of forward passes, and second in terms of forward passing percentage. That is not just Arsenal, that is in the entirety of the Premier League. So if you were holding back before, the time has arrived now to give Ben White his respect and his flowers. Simon Collins says, in years gone by, music would sometimes go on in the dressing room after a draw, but the mood after the 1-1 draw versus Southampton was one of defeat, with Granit Xhaka and Martin Odegaard sat in the corner intently discussing where the game had gone wrong tactically. This is a mentality change. No more smiles and laughs and nutmegs. No more of being an unserious club. The likes of Odegaard, Xhaka, Jesus and Zinchenko. These are all key fundamentals of Mikel Arteta changing the mentality of the club. Because if you want to be at the best of the best, you have to always be self-critical. Strive for improvement. And these individuals epitomise that. And finally, you have the nominees for the Arsenal Player of the Month, with Xhaka, Thomas Partey, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. October was a gargantuan month and these guys all had a massive involvement. And the thing is, they all had their standout moments. You've got Xhaka and Partey's goals in the North London derby, Martinelli and Saka terrorising Liverpool. I myself am very torn, so my friends, I'll leave this for you guys to answer down below in the comments. Who do you think deserves the Arsenal October Player of the Month? Now that is the video there and there, so hopefully you have enjoyed, and if you have, make sure to smash a like and also subscribe if you are new. Make sure to also follow your boy on all of his social medias, the links are down below in the description. But that was all of today's latest Arsenal news, and a game against Brighton in the Carabao Cup, and it might just be the cup, but Arsenal are not allergic to trophies unlike certain other clubs, so hopefully Arsenal win and progress, and I'll see you next time. Take care.